Hey everybody, my name is Adam, and I just about gave myself a blister by trying to open up a bottle of water. So now that you know that, welcome back to Let's Play some more Gran Turismo 3. I am embarrassed both as a human being and as a man. You know, I'm going to tell you one thing right now though, this is one of those Crystal Geyser gallon sizes, and I don't know what sinister human being or machine was in charge of putting the lids on these things, but I swear to God whoever did it, like, spot welded that thing shut. And I'm not a weak ass dude by any stretch of the imagination. There is some strength in these fingers and this hand in general, I guess. And that thing wasn't budging no matter how hard I was reefing on it. Like, my jugular almost exploded with how much stress I was exerting. And that doesn't even make any sense because your jugular just doesn't explode. I know, I've watched plenty of medical shows. But now my hand really hurts and it's a piece of shit and it's bothering me. So, with that said, in the last episode, what we did is we barely, and I put a huge amount of emphasis on the word barely, we barely limped our way through the final 3 exams of the International A license. That Zonda C12 handled so poorly, like you could not slam left or right hard enough to get that thing to corner at all. And then these 2 Skylines, like, were almost, like, way too sensitive, especially in that complex string thing. It was like a tale of 2 cities as far as these cars were concerned. It was fucking crazy. But we were able to get the license. We have almost everything that we need in order to take on this this first endurance race. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a certain move that's going to give us everything that we need. And that certain thing is selling all 3 of these cars. And I'm sure there's at least a couple of you out there that are watching like, hey Adam, why are you doing that? You already have a Miata, and it's, you know, it should be good to go, right? Technically, sure, it'll definitely get into the race. We have to strip all the tuned parts out of it, but it would certainly work. The problem is that it probably wouldn't win us the race unless we had probably the best race that we have ever raced in our life. And the thing is I want to make sure that we have the absolute best opportunity to win this thing, because this is like a 35 or 40 lap race. The last thing I want to do is go into this thing, lose it, and then have to go back and do it again at some other point. So this is not going to fly with me. So we're going to go into Mazda, we're going to buy a better version, because the one that we were using, whether it was this one or this one, it has 118 horsepower at base level, and that's fine, but it's not enough. So if we were to get the Mazda MX-5 1.8 RS, while better, with a whopping 142 horsepower, still not enough. So what we're going to buy today is we're going to buy the all-powerful Mazda Miata MX-5 LS, because not only is this thing 23,280 credits, it also sports 157 horsepower, and that, my friends, makes all the difference. That is going to do everything in this. And one thing that I decided to do off camera so I wouldn't have to put you guys through watching it is I did one extra race, just like a little tiny puny one. And it gave me the extra money that I needed in order for us to buy some tires, because that is so important. Ooh, that Supreme Blue Mika! Oh boy, it's either that or it's the Sunlight Silver. I can't go away from blue, man. You're gonna give me a shade of blue like that, I ain't saying no. So this is definitely the best option for car that we can roll with. And then we'll go to the tune-up shop. We're not allowed to put any, you know, anything else in here outside of tires. And so I made sure that we had just enough money that we'd be able to afford some sports tires, because while those aren't as good as like the racing tires, let me tell you why we're not buying racing tires. That is why we're not buying racing tires. I mean, $47,000? What the hell? You know? What is it? They putting like flakes of gold in those? Is it Goldschlager the tire edition or what? My God. And so this is why we're buying sports tires. They're certainly not great, but they are most certainly better than just the stock ones that you got. So we're going to take these, and that is going to be everything that we can do here. So with that said, my friends, we're going to go roll into this thing. And I'm going to say right now, before we get going with it, everybody cross your fingers and everything else, because I am petrified. about, not necessarily as much about the race itself. I think we got a pretty good chance with that. The thing that worries me is two different things. One, the fact that I had a power outage here in town last night, and so had I been doing this race, last night, say we're like halfway through, the thing would have been toast. So I gotta hope that over the next couple of days or so, because we're gonna have inclement weather out here, that we don't have another power outage, because that'll ruin it again. The other thing that I probably worry about more than that is I really hope that my PS2 Slim can handle being on for a couple of days straight, because I'm not going to film all these in one sitting. I probably should, but I'm not going to. And so I really hope that my old pal over there can definitely handle being on for a little while. So, I mean, say the prayer, let's get down to business, as we're going to fire up the Roadster Endurance, the lightweight open sports cars that change the world. Let's do it. So you guys are probably going to, at least a few of you out there are probably asking, hey Adam, are you going to do the qualifying lap? And the answer is, in Heisenberg fashion, you're goddamn right. It's really important. It really is. And the reason why is that other Miata LS up there. Had we not used, had we not at least bought like the 1.8 RS, there was basically no chance of us winning this thing unless we're like the best racer of all time. Because this LS is nuts. So we're going to do the qualifier lap. Basically what the LS would do in comparison to the other cars is that it jumps out to like a monster lead really quickly. And like that's designed specifically to like incite psychological warfare on your brain. Because it jumps out so quickly and you're just like, oh my god, I'm not ready for this thing. And kind of, sort of, you're not. But the one big thing about this other LS that's going to be in this race with us is the fact that, to like even the playing field a little bit, it has to go to the pit stop thing like every 3 or 4 laps, I believe, to get a new set of tires. And so that is kind of what you can use to even out the playing field a little bit if you're using one of the lesser cars. I think if you're not using the 1.8 RS though, I think you're pretty much gonna not win unless you're just a god at this game. And even with the 1.8 RS, it's still pretty challenging. Like, you still gotta run a very clean race. But if we're using the LS along with it, we got a pretty solid chance. I feel pretty good about our opportunity to come out on top in this thing. So ideally, what I'm thinking is we don't necessarily need to finish in pole position. But if we can finish in at least second, I'm good with that. I'm good with it. The one thing that's different about qualifying in this game as opposed to the other ones, if I remember correctly, is the fact that there is no lap limit and there's no time limit for how you can go about, doing qualifiers in this. And it's really not advantageous for you to, like, just continue doing it. Like, you want to basically try to get in and out on this thing as fast as you can. Like, if after one lap you finish in pole position, pull the plug immediately, because you're not going to get any better than that. Even if we get, like, second place after one lap, I'm pulling the plug immediately. Because not only, A, do I not want to waste a whole bunch of time in this qualifying stage, I just, if I can start in second, I mean, that's gold, man. That's perfect. So let's just see if we can hold the man off here. More than likely we won't. I mean, he definitely runs a very, very clean ship here, and so more than likely we'll probably be starting behind him. But the good thing here though is that we're only, like, he'll probably end up going into the pit probably at least maybe 2 times before we go in once. So we should be able to establish a pretty strong lead within the first, like, 8 laps or so, I would say. I would say if we're, like, barely holding people off, we should probably be a little bit concerned by that. Because, I mean, considering the pretty strong advantage that we have over 5 of the cars in this, like 4 of the other cars in this thing, we should be able to handle this pretty well. I mean, that LS is really our only main contender here. And just with the raw volume of the amount of times that he's going to be hitting the pit stop, that should give us everything that we need in order to, pull this thing off and get the George W. Bush. So here we go. Let's see where we're sitting after this opening lap here. I'm gonna probably assume that we're gonna be in second. Obviously, he's gonna be in first because he passed us. So you know that's gonna be what it's gonna be. But hey, second place is fine by me because you know we'll be getting rolling starts anyways. So it's all good to go. Second place. All right, let's take it. Let's exit the race, get out of here, and move on with our lives. There it is. Okay, let's go. Let's jump into this thing, my friends. Biggest thing to keep track of, obviously, outside of your opponents and where they're at, you know, on this thing is keep an eye on them tires down in that bottom left corner. That's the one, Mauve. That's the Silva Tuna. I mean, once those things start getting that lovely shade of orange, you got to really start considering going in there and having the invisible people nearby slap a new set on you. Otherwise, your handling will be so god-awful, you won't even know what to do with your life. So, by the way, super, super awesome thing happened to me last night. Like, I can't even tell you how remarkably relieved I am that this happened. And what it was so when I got sick right after Christmas, one of the days that that I was there and I was just had a crazy high fever and all that stuff, I went to go take a shower, and with my cross necklace that I wear every single minute of every single day outside of taking a shower, I always take it off and I put it on the counter. It's just like the way that I do it. And then right after I'm done drying off all that stuff, I put it back on, just like everybody else in the world does that same exact thing. So I take this thing off, put it on the counter. At least I thought I did. And now I go in and take my shower, and I come out of this thing. And and I go to put my clothes back on, and I realize my necklace isn't there. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Where the hell did it go? And so I'm like looking on the floor, and I'm kind of looking around, and I don't see it. And I'm kind of thinking, just because I'm so out of it at the moment, that maybe I'll just look. I'll look for it later. So the next day, go back and look for it again. Still can't find it. I'm like, well, that's really weird. Like it's really kind of throwing me off right now. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And still feeling really out of it. I was like, you know what? I'll go back and I'll look for it later. After that, a few days go by. Days go by and still I think of you. Boom, ba doo 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 doo. That whole thing. And then like a week goes by, week and a half goes by, 2+ weeks go by, still haven't found it yet. Now I'm freaking out. Like, keep in mind, you guys, I've had this cross necklace since I was in like the 8th grade. So I graduated in the 8th grade in 2002. So I've worn this thing every single day outside of like a day and a half. I've worn it every single day since 2002. It's a long ass time. And so even not having it for 1.5 days, I felt super naked without it. And so going like 2 weeks without it, like I was stressing out really bad over that, because not only is it a cross necklace, like I'm a Christian, it's an important relic for me to have. But it was also given to me by my grandfather before he passed away. So not only does it have meaning to me religiously, but it also it also resonates with me big time because it was given to me by my grandfather. And so I hold it very near and dear to me because it's one of the last things that he gave me before he died. And so having it, I always feel like I have a piece of him with me at all times. So it has serious value with me. And going without it for 2.5 weeks roughly, I felt so naked and so empty without it, and so I was kind of getting to the point where I was thinking, it's been gone for this long, like I'm thinking maybe the day that I took it off and lost it the first time, maybe what happened in kind of my weird kind of out of it stupor or whatever, that maybe I accidentally nudged it and it like went into the sink and fell down the drain. Like that was kind of the scenario that I created in my head. And and so I was just like, well, I mean, if it hasn't turned up by now, more than likely it's not going to. And so I was thinking, you know, maybe I'm gonna have to ask my parents for a new one for Christmas, or not for Christmas, but for my birthday, and like it'll be awesome because I'll have a new cross necklace, but it won't feel right, you know, like it'll still have just kind of a little bit of this hollow feeling because it won't be the one that my grandpa gave me, and so you know I'd be really bummed out by that. But all in all, the cool thing that really happened was last night I'm at the bar, you know, with my friends watching the Portland game and, you know, enjoying that hot toddy. Almost had a hot buttered rum too, man. Like the bartender totally offered me one, but I was just like, I really want one because I haven't had a hot buttered rum since I was like 22, and so I really want one, but I just don't have any money, so can't do it. But as I'm there, you know, enjoying this and you know, laughing it up and all that stuff with the guys, I get a text from my mom, and she's like, "You'll never guess what happened." And I thought she was like talking about like the Portland game or something, like she thought I wasn't watching it. And I was like, "No, what is it?" And she's like, "So I was doing some laundry. I was doing a little bit of laundry a little while ago, and I was getting ready to fold some towels, and you know, I was shaking some of them out." Because, you know, a couple of them had some cat hair and stuff, you know, from the cat bed. And she's like, I was shaking them out, and your necklace fell out of it. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And she's like, yeah. She's like, so I totally found it, and I left it on your nightstand, so when you come home later, you can wear it again. And like as soon as she said that, like I had like this overwhelming feeling of just, you know, of just relief. You know, like almost like a weight was taken off of my shoulders. Like, I can't think of a time, especially for an inanimate object, you know, of all things, that just finding something like that could like bring such a feeling of relief. You know, it was so cool. It's hard to explain, you know, but I feel like other people out there, you have something like my necklace, you know, that's really near and dear to you, that, you know, maybe a family member gave to you, that, you know, you feel like you can't be separated from it, and you lose it for a while, and then you finally find it, and just like that overwhelming feeling of joy that comes over you. Oh, it's so great. So, yeah, that's my little story on that. But by the way, we are dominating right now. Like, this is everything I was hoping for. You weather the storm from the Miata LS, and then you just kind of start going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until probably like lap 7, maybe 8 if our tires hold out really well. And if we can do that, we'll hit our first pit stop. And I think we'll be far enough ahead that even when we come out of the pit, we should still be ahead of everybody at that point. Because yeah, I think we'll have built up just enough in that scenario that we'll be good to go. So we're gonna probably call this episode good here pretty quick, which with that said, this will probably end up being like 6 or 7 episodes at this pace. Might be able to knock out a few more because we're not doing qualifying laps and all that jazz, so we'll see kind of in the second episode of this really how many laps we can get done in about a 20-minute amount of time. So we'll see. But I feel like we've made pretty good progress so far. You know, I mean, 5 laps out of 40, considering that we had to go out and buy the car, we had to do the qualifier. I think we're moving along pretty well here. I might film 1 or 2 more of these tonight before I head off to bed, since I need to get some sleep. I still don't think I'm at 100% yet health-wise, and I don't want to jeopardize it by being up till 2:30 or 3 in the morning, recording a whole ass load of these things. Even though it'd still be sick. I really, the big thing for me is I really want to try to get this race done as quickly as possible, because I'm just so scared that my PS2 is just gonna totally freeze out on me if I have it paused for too long. So we'll see what happens. But, we're going to hit our 6th lap right here, so I think right now we're going to stop, and when we come back on the next episode of Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulator, we're going to keep on heading through this endurance race, since we have just an overbearingly wonderful lead right now. So until then, my friends, this is your host, LovelyCheesePizza, saying thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, because there's plenty more coming. There will be much for everyone to enjoy. So until then, my friends, I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Bye.